What size of business is the best? Is it better to have a super profitable solopreneur type of business that does low to mid six figures, or is it better to scale your business up to seven figures and have a team? This question actually came from a DM conversation I was having with someone last week as we were actually talking about whether the Wealthy Women Collective is the right fit for her in my DMs, which, side note, if you want to DM me to see if the collective is for you, you can absolutely do that at It's Sarah Young. But she asked me this question and it inspired me to talk about it in today's video. So her question was, honestly, I would love to know your insights on the differences in the benefit of a seven-figure business with a team versus a 250K per year business with just me. So I thought this question was really interesting. So as a little bit of background for this specific person, she actually had a mid six-figure business with a team that she ended up shutting down, and she wasn't a client, so I don't necessarily know all of the backstory. And she ended up going to get a full-time job and then starting a different business as a side hustle. And so I don't blame her for wanting to think carefully about what type of business she wants to create and which one would be the best fit for her. I am not here to tell you what size of business is best for you. I don't think that any size of business is necessarily better than any other size of business. I think that what is the most important is that you structure a business that fits you, that fits your goals. And I think that a low to mid six-figure business will be great for some goals, and a seven-figure business will be great for others. But one thing that I do want you to do is to promise yourself that you're not going to hold yourself back from having big goals and from wanting to grow a business into the high six or seven or even eight figures out of fear that if you grow that big, it's going to be too big and you're not going to be able to manage it and it's all going to come crashing and burning down around you. Because I've talked to enough business owners to know that that is a fear as your business is growing. And honestly, for a lot of people, it continues to be a fear even once they get to the magical promised seven-figure revenue land. So let's talk about the pros and cons from my perspective of having a low to mid six-figure business versus a seven-figure business with a team. Okay, so with a lower six-figure business, the first thing I'm going to say is that in her message, she implied that if she had a 250K per year business, that it would just be her. I would not commit to having zero team at any level of business unless you're literally just starting out. Even in a lower to mid six-figure business, you are going to want some type of support to help you with administrative tasks, with some client service, with some delivery tasks, just the things that you're doing on a repeat day in and day out. Because if I did not have that type of support, even if I was doing coaching programs, I would want somebody, and I do have someone who helps me on the back end with administrative tasks. I just wouldn't want to feel like I was tied to doing that, so I could never step away from my computer. So as I'm talking about a low to mid six-figure business, I'm going to assume that you will have some sort of team. But I do think that one of the pros or cons, depending on how you look at it, is that when you have a low to mid six-figure business, you are going to have a smaller, lighter team. You're probably also going to have a lighter client load. You will be most likely the primary client point of contact and the primary client delivery person. No matter what type of business you run, whether you have a done-for-you service, maybe you're a consultant, maybe you're a coach, at that level, you will be the primary person who your clients are interfacing with. You're also going to be the primary person responsible for marketing. This is an area too where I see a lot of business owners at that level feel stuck because they're so busy sometimes with client delivery because they haven't structured their offers or delivery processes in the best way. So they get really bogged down with client work, and then it's hard for them to maintain the marketing processes, the marketing activities that they need to keep filling the pipeline. So in terms of profitability, I think that with this size of business, let's say you're going to do anywhere from 200 to 400,000 a year, you will probably profit anywhere from, we'll say, minimum 60K a year. And if you get your revenue up to 400K, you could potentially, depending on how you have it structured, profit upwards of 200K. But more realistically, your profit's going to range somewhere between 60 and 150K a year. To live a more middle class lifestyle these days with the cost of housing, with the cost of food, with the cost of childcare, you probably want to safely target making a six-figure paycheck. And if you've been around here for a while, you know that making a six-figure paycheck is something I talk about a lot. And so as you design this business, if you decide that this structure is what you want, then you want to ask yourself, what would be the easiest structure that I could put in place that will allow me to take home, not make in sales, but take home after tax a six-figure paycheck? Because to me, that makes your business so much more sustainable, and it enables a lot more things in your life, from living the lifestyle you want to making investments. Okay, the last thing I'll say about a low to mid six-figure business is that this business is probably not super sellable. You might be able to sell it down the road, but because you as the owner are going to be pretty heavily involved most of the time with client delivery and with marketing, it's going to make it harder for somebody else to step in your shoes. And a lot of businesses at this level also have the owner very heavily in the business's branding, which again will make it that much harder for someone else to come in and run the business. So if you want to sell a business, you may want to rethink how you structure things at this level. Now let's talk about the pros and cons with a seven-figure business that probably will have a team. So I think when you get to the seven-figure level, it's pretty much a guarantee for the vast majority of businesses that you will probably have at least one other full-time employee. I personally like having a lean team, but we do have, how many full-time employees do we have? We have 5 at Young & Co. currently. I don't want to have more than that, at least not right now, but having full-time employees, I mean, some of the people on our team have been with me really for almost 3 years. Like, they've been around for a while. We have longevity. They really get embedded in your business. And to me, this is what enables me to delegate client delivery. Because when you have a business of that size and a team of that size, if you structure things the right way, if you structure your offers and processes in a way that your team can step in and deliver for you, then that is what personally got me out of doing the day-to-day work in my business and opened up a lot more of my time for being able to step away from my laptop and not having to work 60 hours a week, to being able to spend more time doing, speaking and workshops and some of the things that I really personally love doing, to even starting my second business I was able to do because I had the time that I didn't have to spend being, stuck in doing all of the day-to-day client work. And I do want to be clear, I don't necessarily love that work, but my team does, at least from what I gather, from what they say. I think sometimes as a business owner, you have this guilt around hiring a team and letting them do the work or asking them to do the work that you're paying them for. You have guilt around it, right? Because you don't necessarily want to do it anymore. But you have to remember that there are people out there who love to do the things that you don't necessarily love to do. In terms of profitability, if you structure a seven-figure business the right way, you can make upwards of $300,000 to $500,000 a year, if not more, depending on how many seven figures you make in your business in revenue. But my benchmark for profitability is that you are able to pay yourself 30 to 50% of revenue. And so at $1 million business, at just $1 million, that would be $300,000 to $500,000 a year. The other major pro of a seven-figure business is that to run that business successfully, again, not all the time, but for most businesses, you have processes that someone could buy and step into. You have a client list, you have marketing systems, you have the team, you have the brand, you probably have contracts that you've got. Those are the things that make a business sellable. And so when you have a business that's doing 7 figures in revenue or multi 6 figures in profit, that's something that you can sell for high 6 and 7 multi 7 figures, which is going to put a lot of cash in your pocket down the road. So I also wrote down here in my outline the things that you need at each level to make these businesses the most successful that they can be, no matter what you pick. But I want to keep this video shorter and to the point. So if that's something that you want me to talk about in another episode, make sure you drop that in the comments too. So I hope this was helpful. Again, a reminder, neither one of these businesses is better than the other. What is important is that you build a business that is aligned with what you want, that's aligned with the way you want to live your life now, and also helps you hit your overall wealth goals, both in the short term and in the long term. So if you have any other thoughts that you want to add about the pros and cons of different types of businesses, share your thoughts in the comments below, and I'll see you back here next time.